Hello, my name is Mark, and welcome to Practice Test 3. This is for the IBEW Full-Length Algebra and Functions Aptitude Practice Test series that I have on my channel. So I did put a poll out there. What should Practice Test 3 focus on the most? Man, it was 6 days ago. It took me 6 days to make this test. The practice tests take a long time to make. Anyway, I asked, what should Practice Test 3 focus on the most? And a different mix of math topics won. Okay? And then I have here, just fuck me up, Mark, with 37%. So I did listen to you. I did listen to the feedback. And on the test, here are the math topics. I did make the test heavy on linear variable relationships and graphing. I made them 44% of the test, 8 to 7 questions. That's 15 questions of this. And linear variable relationships are if and then statements, and then the linear function graphing. You already know what that is. And then I had the answer choice distribution. I did my best to distribute the answer choices evenly, with B and C being the bulk of the test. And there are a total of 34 questions. All right. And a way to support me, guys, is to go to Buy Me a Coffee, and you could become a member for only $1 a month. Okay? Just $1. It's nothing. It just helps me keep test prep free. Gives me a little bit of motivation. And shout out to the people here, Mason and Logan Dees, for your one-time donation. I really appreciate it. Okay? And the least you could do, if you don't want to donate or become a member, you could also become a member for $10 a year. That's 83 cents per month. But the least you could do, if you do not want to become a member, is just to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out all my playlists that I have curated just for you, and to comment. Comment if you have any questions, comment if you want to help people with unanswered questions, and that's just the best way to support me. Let's just go ahead and start Practice Test 3. Question number 1. Consider the following formula. 6y equals 12x minus 42. Okay, let me just go ahead and get my marker. And we have here, what number can go into all three of these terms, the number terms, right? We want to simplify this. And that is 6. 6 can be divided by each term. Okay, that leaves us with y, okay, because 6 divided by 6 is just 1, and that leaves us with y. 12 divided by 6 equals 2, that's 2x, and then minus what's 42 divided by 6, that is 7, and then we have a negative 7. And the question here says, which of the following choices represents the same relationship as the given function? So we are going to look at all the graphs. We are going to observe them. Okay. So we have 2x. M, which is our slope, equals 2. And that's a positive 2. So we can get rid of A because A is a parabola. Okay. A is a parabola. We'll look at B, and B has a negative slope. It goes from left and then downwards to the right. So we can get rid of B. So we're left with C and D. And our y-intercept, okay, our y-intercept is at negative 7, or the ordered pair 0, negative 7. So we look at C, and then we see that the y-intercept is at 0, 7. So we can get rid of C. That leaves us with D. And the y-intercept is in fact at 0, negative 7. And if we were to count, if we were to choose 2 points, we could find the change of y over the change of x, which is the slope, and we'll find that it equals 2. But we won't do that because we already ruled all 3 of these out, and we know that D is the correct answer. Okay? Moving on. What is the next number in the series, in the following series of numbers? Okay? We have negative 3.5, negative 2.75, negative 2, negative 1/1/4, and then question mark. We are trying to find this, the next number. Okay? So, what happens between negative 3.5 and negative 2.75? And you will have a piece of paper and you'll be staring at a computer while taking the test. So the first thing I would do is write everything down, okay? Really quick, okay? Write everything down. And then the last one, I'm going to change this negative 1/4 to negative 1.25. You should know your common fractions, folks. 1/4 is 0.25. 1/2 is 0.5. 3/4, right? 3/4, that's 0.75. Okay? So negative 3.5 to negative 2.75. What happened here? Well, we went more positive by 0.75. Okay? And then from 2.75 to negative 2, what happened? Again, we went positive 0.75. And negative 2 to negative 1.25. And again, we went positive 0.75. So we need to figure out the pattern, which is we add positive, right, 0.75. And we're going to add that to the last term or combine that. I like using the word combine. Combine this to this last term here. So negative 1.25 plus 0.75. What does that equal? Well, that equals negative, we're still in the negatives, 0.5. And that is answer choice B. Okay? Question number 3. Moving on. Simplify the following expression. H equals 3r squared plus 4u minus t. This is in parentheses. Plus negative 3r cubed plus 2ru plus 5rt, everything over r. Okay? The first thing I would do when looking at this expression is I'm going to look at this right here. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite this and let's go ahead and simplify this part. So 3r cubed plus 2ru plus 5rt. This is everything over r. Okay? Just for you to get a mental breakdown, I don't recommend you do this, but I want you to understand this. Okay? I want you to understand this concept. So this r could go under this term, and under this term. Okay? So it's going to look something like this. Negative 3r cubed over r plus 2ru over r plus 5rt over r. Okay? And then to simplify, we have r cubed over r. Well, this is actually r cubed divided by r1. When you have r by itself, it's just to the power of 1, okay? And then when we divide exponents, we subtract the top number, okay? So it will look something like this. R cubed, I'm going to do it more to the side here, r cubed minus 1 equaling 2, giving us r squared, okay? So for the next one, I'm going to do them quick. It's r1 minus r1, or I'm sorry, r1 minus 1, right? And these will just cancel each other out. This too will also cancel each other out. This at the bottom gets canceled out, and then this right here becomes a 2. So then what we're left with is negative 3r squared plus 2u plus 5t. That's what we're left with. And we're going to put this back over here. Okay? So I'm going to erase all this up here, and I am going to rewrite. I'm going to rewrite in a different color what I'm going to put over here. So I'm going to go negative 3r squared plus 2u plus 5t. And let's erase everything. And then we're going to put it all back together. So we have h is equal to, and then I'm not even going to use the parentheses. I'm just going to go ahead and write it all out. Okay? Plus 4u minus t. And then I'm going to put this over here now. I'm going to add it together or combine it. 3r squared plus 2u plus 5t. Okay? And then just looking at this, okay, and this is kind of ugly. I'm so sorry that my handwriting's so bad on here. Okay, that's an r. 3r squared, what can that be combined with? Well, that can be combined with this negative 3r squared, and they will, in fact, cancel each other out, equaling 0. So I'm just going to cross them out. I'm not even going to write them out. I have 4u, and I have a positive 2u. What does that equal? Well, that equals 6u. And I'll write that out for you. 4u plus 2u equals 6u. Okay? And I'm going to cross that out. I'm just going to circle this so I make sure I keep track of it. And then I have negative t plus 5t. I'm just going to write that out. Negative t plus 5t. Well, that will equal 4t. Okay? And I'm going to circle that too as well. So what we're left with, and these cannot be combined together, what we're left with is h is equal to 6u plus 4t. That is our final answer. And that is answer choice B. All right. We tracking? We're doing good. All right. Moving on. Let's go ahead and go on to question number 4. Evaluate the expression when y is equaling to 3, w is equal to negative 2, and then h equals 1/2. Okay, so all we have to do is plug all this into here. All right, this is an
algebraic expression.
Okay, so let's just plug it all in. 2 and then parentheses 3, right? Because y is equal to 3, minus 3, and then negative 2, and then plus 1/2, all over 4. Okay, let's go ahead and simplify. 2 times 3 equals 6. Negative 3 times negative 2, that is positive 6, because a negative times a negative equals a positive. Okay, and then plus 1/2, and then everything over 4. Now let's go ahead and combine these 6's, and then we're left with 12 plus 1/2 over 4. Okay, now I'm going to erase everything here because what we need to do next is we need to find a common denominator because we're going to be combining fractions. Okay, so this 12 is actually 12 over 1. Okay, and I need to make these bottom numbers or the denominator the same number. And in order to do that, I need to multiply this bottom number, right, times 2. And whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So I also need to multiply this. Shows a star every time I do a little squiggly line. I need to multiply this by times 2. And I'm just going to put an X there as multiply. Okay? So what we're left with is 24, right? Because 12 times 2 is 24, over 2 plus 1/2. Okay? Everything over 4. And this part, okay, just this part, the numerator, 24 plus 1 equals 25. And the 2 just stays put. Okay, we don't do anything with the 2 when we add or subtract. Okay, so let's go ahead and erase this part right here and move on. Okay, so now what we're left with is 25 over 2 divided by 4. Now I'm going to rewrite this, okay, because that looks tricky. 25 divided by 2 divided by, right, 4. Now this is a little easier for you to look at. So, do you remember from the 20 skills you need to know from that video, right? Do you remember how to divide? How to divide with fractions? Well, you would do
Keep, change, and flip.
right? So I would keep this 25 over 2. I would change this to multiplication, right? Let's do it in real time, right? And then flip, because this is 4 over 1. So I'm going to flip it now. I'm going to change it to 1 over 4. Okay? We keep, changed, and flipped. Now we could just multiply across. And then we get 25 times 1, that equals 25. And 2 times 4, that equals 8. And this, folks, is our simplified expression, completed. So that is answer choice C. Okay? This tested 2 skills with fractions, as well as the third one being substituting these right here, these variables inside this algebraic expression. All right, question number 5. Okay, factor the expression. This is actually like one of my favorite things to talk about, okay? We need to find the greatest common factor for each term here. So let's just count how many terms we have. On the left side, and this is like the divider right here, this minus sign. So on the left side, we have 1, 2, and 3 terms, right? We have the numbers, and we have G as a variable, and then E as a variable. These are all their each terms, okay? Separate terms. And on the right side, we have a number term, another variable, another variable, and another variable. These are all their each terms. So what I like to do, we know that we're going to be taking something out from this. So I'm going to put 3 lines on the outside because only 3 can be taken out, right? Because this n to the 4th power can't be taken out because nothing could be taken out from it, right? There's no n to the 4th on this side. So I'm only going to put 3 terms. And then I'm going to put my parentheses here. And then I'm going to put 3 terms for this because this right here is this part. And then minus, and then I'm going to put 4 terms here for these right here. Okay? So now let's find the greatest common factor with the numbers first. So what can be taken out from 18 and 24 cleanly? Well, that is 6. We could divide these numbers by 6. And I'm going to put a 6 over here on the outside. What is 18 divided by 6? That is 3. What is 24 divided by 6? That is 4. Okay, the next term, which are the G's? What can be taken out? And what can be taken out is the smallest exponent, and that's just G. So a G can be taken out. A G can be taken out. So I put a G here. And then G divided by G, or G to the 1st power, divided by G to the 1st power, that equals G1 minus 1 equaling G to the 0 power equaling 1. Okay, so we put a 1 right here. Okay, if you feel super comfortable about this, about what I'm doing, you don't even have to do this. You could just do this real quick in your head. Okay, but I'm just showing you the bare bones for you to understand. Okay, e to the 7th power and then e to the e squared. Well, this is the lowest number, the lowest exponent. So we can take this out, e squared. Okay, and then e, oh my, it looks like a c, e squared. I saved myself there. and this could be taken out, put right there, and then e to the 7th power divided by e squared. Well, if you remember, it's like this, then minus, and then 2, that equals 5. And then that equals g to the 5th power. And then we have g to the 5th power over here. And then e squared divided by e squared, that equals 1. Okay? And this n just gets carried over because nothing could be taken out from the n's, n to the 4th power. So what we're left with, and this right here, is 3 times 1, 3 times 1 times g to the 5th power. And this over here is 4 times 1 times 1 times n to the 4th power. Okay? What we're left with now is 6g e squared, parentheses, 3g to the 5th power minus 4, and then n to the 4th power. And that is our factored expression. So what answer choice is this? Well, just looking at everything, it is A. Okay? And if we didn't know what we were doing and we were doing process of elimination, we could have already figured out that B was incorrect because we have 6E and we have a G here. Okay, that was the first first letter term we factored out. And then we go here to C and the number term is 3. Well, 3 can also be taken out from each, but then more could be taken out. Okay, we need to find like the least common. I forgot what the term is, but the one that could be cleanly taken out and where nothing else could be taken out from either one, either number. Okay, and that gets rid of C. And that leaves us with A and D. And then if we look over here, this has a minus sign and this has a minus sign. So A is correct. This one has a positive sign. We weren't combining these terms. Okay, we weren't adding these terms at all. So get rid of D, leaving us with A. My nose itches already. Like I feel like it's the light that just like then makes my nose itch. Okay. Question number 5 complete. Question number 6. And here is where it gets difficult. Okay, this one I forced you to use the quadratic formula. Okay, because over here we have negative 11, right? And usually what you're used to is factoring, finding the factors of negative 11. So what times what equals negative 11. And then when combined, those two terms combined equal negative 7. Well, nothing will work, okay? Because the only factors you'll get are negative 11 times 1 equals negative 11. Those combined equals negative 10. Okay, do it in reverse. Negative 1 times positive 11 equals negative 11. Cool. But when combined equals positive 10. And that does not equal negative 7. So we need to erase everything. And now we must use the quadratic formula. Okay, so what is our A, what is our B, and what is our C? Well, A equals 3. B equals negative 7. And C equals negative 11. Now that we got that out of the way, now we could use the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is as such. Negative B plus minus square root of everything. B squared minus 4AC. Divide everything by 2A. Let's plug in our numbers. Negative 7 plus minus everything over 7. It's a negative 7, but it doesn't matter because we're going to square it. Minus 4. A is 3, and then C is negative 11, okay? Everything over 2A. Then we get 7 plus minus 49, because 7 squared is 49, minus what is negative 4 times 3? That's negative 12. What's negative 12 times negative 11? That equals positive 132, right? Is it 132 or 131? I think it's 132. Okay, and then I forgot this a over here. This a is 3, and then I'm going to do 2 times 3, and that's 6. Okay, now I'm going to erase the top here and continue. And then we get 7 plus minus 49 plus 132. Let's just do this on the side, okay? Because I can't do that in my head. That's really hard, okay? Plus, that's 9 plus 2 equals 11, 1, and then 4 plus 3 equals 7, plus 1 is 8, and then we have, no, we don't carry anything. Let me just erase that. Then we drop this 1 here, and it's 181. 181 divided by 6. Now, that 181 can't be squared, okay? And we can't even split the square, okay? So, given that, here are our answer choices. And then, well, let's look at x, or let's look at a, which equals x equals -7. So look at this, it says -7, right? We can get rid of that. This one says +7. Well, the denominator is 3, which is wrong because we have a 3 right here as a when we needed to multiply it to get to 6. So that is wrong. This again has a -7. We have a +7. Get rid of that. That makes D our correct answer. Now, you could have figured this out in the very beginning if you were paying very close attention at the answer choices. Okay? So the shortcut here is, I'm going to erase this again. The shortcut here is when we got to even this part, just writing everything down, a -7, right? A negative multiplied by a negative equals a positive. So we can already get rid of A and we can get rid of C. Why? Because we have a +7, okay? +7. And then our denominators. If you look at our denominators, we get 2 and then 3, or 2a equaling 2 times 3. Because a equals 3, giving us 6. Now look at our denominators here, 3 and 6. So we didn't even have to use or do this math over here. So that leaves us with D. Okay? That's just the shortcut. Okay? You may or may not find these on the test. Okay? Shortcuts are like unwritten rules. You may or may not get them. All right? Let's go ahead and go on to question number 7. What is the next number in the following series of numbers? All right, so what I would usually do is write everything out, okay? 4 to 27, all right? 4 to 27, what is happening here? Right, that's plus 23. Well, what's happening from 27 to 8? That is minus 19, right? 19, 8, is that right? Yeah, that is right. 19, 27 minus 19 equals 8. Well, there's no pattern, no apparent pattern. Okay, let me go on to the next term. Okay, next number. 8 to 22. What's going on here? Well, that's plus, that's 2, that's plus 14. Again, I don't see an apparent pattern. I would already stop here. Okay, because that's not it. There's nothing going on. All right. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what we want is 8. Okay. Now I'm going to group the odds together. 4, 8, and then 16, and then 32. Okay. And then when I group the odds together, we see that it's multiplied by 2. It like doubles, right? The number doubles each time. 4 to 8 is times 2. 8 to 16 is times 2. 16 to 32 is times 2. And then times 2 is 64. But we don't want that term, right? That's the 9th term. And we want the 8th term. The 8th number in the series, right? So let's go look at the even, I was going to say odd again, the even terms. And we get 27, 22, and 17. And we want 8, okay? Put a line for the number that we're going to get. Well, from here to here, 27 27 to 22, that's negative 5, right? 22 to 17, that's again negative 5. And then 17 minus 5, okay, we apply this rule to the last number, that is 12, right? 17 minus 5 equals 12. That equals answer choice B. What you just saw, what we just figured out, is an alternating pattern. Okay, we had to identify the odds and the evens and then find the patterns between those to get the next number in the series. Okay? All right, here we go. Question number 8. Find the next number in the series. Okay, so this one, okay, this is fractions. If I saw this, I would kind of panic. To be honest, I would kind of panic because fractions are scary. But they don't have to be with your boy, okay?
I got you.
Okay, so the denominators. I'm going to be looking at the denominators. Well, I see that our highest number in the denominators is 8. And this 2 and this 4 can be multiplied by something to equal 8. Multiplied by a number to equal 8. To have all the denominators the same. Okay? So 1/2. I'm going to multiply 1/2 by the bottom. I'm going to multiply by 4. And what you do at the bottom, you must also do at the top. So I get 4 over 8. So I'm going to go to the 7/4 over here. 7/4. What can I multiply it by to equal 8? And I'm going to multiply it by 2. And then again, what I do at the bottom, I must do at the top. So I'm going to get 14 over 8. Right? Okay, that is right. So I'm going to rewrite the sequence. 4 over 8, and then 9/8, and then 7, or I'm sorry, not 7. 14/8, and then 19/8. Okay? And then the next number over here. Well, what happened? Okay, 4 to 9, right? 4 to 9. Well, that's plus 5. 5/8, right? Because 4/8 plus 5/8 equals 9/8, right? 4 plus 5 is 9. Then you just carry over the 8s, or don't do anything with the 8s. You just carry it over to the answer. All right? And it looks like, again, by 5/8. 9/8 plus 5/8 equals 14/8. And then again, plus 5/8. 14/8 plus 5/8 equals 19/8. And then we're going to add by 5/8. And that's going to give us 24, right? 19 plus 5 is 24 over 8. All right. And then we look at our answer choices, and, well, 24 over 8 isn't there. You know why? Because we need to simplify. All right? 24 divided by 8, what does that equal? That equals 3. And that is answer choice C, folks. Make sure you are simplifying. Okay? You must always, always, always simplify in mathematics. All right? The next question, folks. We're moving on to the graphing. Okay, consider the following formula. Y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 4. Which of the following choices represents the same relationship as the given function? Well, we're going to do what we did on the first question. We're going to identify the slope, where m equals negative 2/3. Well, what do we know about this slope? Well, it's a negative, so it's a negative slope. And then the rise over run, right? Rise by 2, run by 3 is 2/3, okay? And then we have this plus 4 here, which is our b, and that equals our y-intercept at positive 4. And let's go ahead and look at our answer choices here. A is a positive slope. okay? It starts here to the left and goes up to the right. That's a positive slope. We could rule this one out. This one has a negative slope. Yes. Okay. Does it have the y-intercept at b or at 4? Yes, it does. This could be the answer choice. However, we need to check out the other ones because it looks like they're all negative slopes. Well, for sure we can get rid of d because this one right here, it intersects the y-intercept at -4. So we can get rid of d. So let's go ahead and check out these ones right here. Okay? There's a couple of ways we can go at this. The first way, we could find out where the line crosses the x-axis, okay? So in order to do that, we're going to set y to 0, okay? We're going to set y to 0. We're going to get a number, right? X comma 0, right? So let's go ahead and find out where the line crosses x. Another way to do this, though, is if you could zoom in here, you could pick 2 points on the graph and then figure out the change over y over the change over x. Okay? You could do that. My gosh, my nose. This one right here. This one right here. And it's not allergies. Okay? Right when I step out from filming, it's just gonna go away. Okay, it's so annoying. It's like when it happens, it just happens and I can't control myself. I gotta itch it. And actually, just because I said that, let's go have some discipline and not itch it. Okay, let's not touch our nasty face anymore. So let's go ahead and set x or y to 0 to find where the line intersects the x-axis. Okay, so I'm going to go 0 equals -2/3 x plus 4. Okay, -4 from each side. Okay, that gives me -4 equals -2/3 x. And then we're going to multiply by 3, and that's going to give us -12 equals -2x. Divide by -2, divide by -2, we get x equals 6, positive 6. And is this positive 6? No, it looks like it's around the 2 or 3, but this is definitely at 6, okay? That gives me enough confirmation, enough confidence to choose C as the correct answer, and I do have the answer key, and C is indeed the correct answer. Okay? Perfect. Let's move on. Consider the following formula. Y is equal to -1/2 x plus 4. Again, which of the following choices represents the same relationship as the given function? So, again, m is equal to, and let's just put this over here at the top. M is equal to -1/2. What can you tell me about m? Well, it's negative, okay? And then our b, right? Where we cross the y-axis, and that's a positive number at +4, or at the ordered pair of 0, 4. And well, we do have 0, 4 here, but that's a sideways parabola. Let's get rid of that. Okay, we have 0, 4 here. However, what is this? This is a positive line. This has a positive slope. We could get rid of that because we have a negative slope. Okay, now we're going to go to these tables, and I'm going to choose this ordered pair and this ordered pair. Okay, and what we're going to do is find the change over y, or we're going to find the change of y over the change of x. That is going to give us our slope. So m is equal to, and this is the equation, y2 minus y1. That looks like an x. y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, let's go ahead and choose our numbers here, plug in our numbers here. M is equal to, I'm going to make 7 as y2, and then 8 as y1, over -4 minus -6. That's going to give me m equals -1 over, and then this becomes a positive, and then what we're left with is a 2, giving me equals -1/2. Okay? Now, given that, all right, -1/2, we have m equals -1/2. And I'm going to put this one right here, and I'm just going to try to fit it right here. All right, just so we know. Because now we have to figure out b for that table. And in order to find b, all we need to do is plug in the numbers that we have and an ordered pair into the equation. So what we're going to be using is y equals mx plus b. And then our y, I'm going to choose these numbers right here, this ordered pair. We have y is 7 equals, and then we have our slope is -1/2. And then right here, -4 is x plus b. Now we could find b. We have all the other terms here, all the other variables covered. We can now isolate to get b. Well, what does -4 times -1/2? Well, -4 times 1, a -1, that gives me +4 divided by 2 equals +2. So I get 7 is equal to 2 plus b. I'm going to minus 2, and I get 5 equaling b. And that is the wrong answer because b in our formula is +4, 0, 4. So we can rule out A. A is incorrect. Now let's go ahead and do everything that we did, right? Everything that we did for the table on A for B. And on the test, though, I would just choose B and go. You know, I don't need to do this. But for our confirmation, because we are practicing, let's go ahead and test B to make sure it's right. So again, M is equal to the change of Y over the change of X. And I'm going to choose my numbers here, 6 minus 8. Right? 6 minus 8. And then we have -4 minus -8, giving us -2 over, and then what is +8 combined with -4? That's going to give me +4. And then this simplified is -1/2. Good. That checks out. Now let's go ahead and plug in all our numbers to y equals mx plus b, and I'm just going to choose this ordered pair right here. So 3 is equal to -1/2 x, which is 2 plus b, okay? And then -2 times 2, so I have 2 divided by 2, and that's going to leave us with a negative number. So I get 3 is equal to -1 plus b plus 1 plus 1. We're left with b equaling 4. And folks, we have proved and confirmed that B is the correct answer choice. This table matches this formula here. All right, cool. Are we tracking? We are tracking. Okay, we're doing well. You are doing well, and you are going to pass your test. Okay, question number 11. Use the table below to determine the linear relationship. Okay, what's cool about this table here is we already have B, which is our y-intercept, okay? And all we need to do is find the change over y over the change over x. Do you see the pattern here, guys, what I'm doing? Change over y over change over x, and then find the y-intercept, which is B. And then I could answer the questions, or I could prove one of the answer choices. So we got 0 over 9 equaling B, or I'm sorry, B is just equal to 9, okay? And then I am going to do the change over y over the change over x. M is equal to, I will choose these 2 points right here, and I get 7 minus 9 over 1 minus 0 equals negative 2 over 1 equaling negative 2. Okay, our equation is y equals 9. Oh, oops. It's negative 2x plus 9. Okay, that's our equation that we are working with. Okay, which graph represents the same relationship in figure 1? So we have to match this right here, this equation, to one of these lines on the graph. Okay, and there are 4 of them. So we could already eliminate a, because a is y is equal to 3. And that is definitely not our answer choice. And then we look at c over here. We could get rid of c because y, that has a positive slope, okay? And then we're looking at d, and then we're looking at b. Now, the best way to confirm this, 100% confirm this, is to find this right here, to find where this line crosses the x-axis. And do you remember how to do that? Because we've done that before, okay? The way to do that is to set y to 0. So 0 is equal to negative 2x plus 9 minus 9 minus 9. Then we're left with negative 9 equals negative 2x. We'll divide it by 2, divide by 2. Negative 9 divided by 2, x is equal to 4.5. And remember, it was negative 2 or negative 9 divided by negative 2, giving us a positive number. And then 4.5, we look here. This is 3, this is 4, and it's about here between 4 and 5. And yes, this gives me enough confirmation to choose answer choice D for question 11. All right, question 12. Consider the following graph of the function y is equal to mx plus b. And again, guys, what are we going to do? We're going to look for the y-intercept. So this is 0 right here, 0. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, confirmed. This is 0. 0, comma, 6. So 6 right here is our b. Well, what is our m? Okay, m is equal to the change of y over the change of x. And then I'm going to choose 2 points. So I'm going to choose this one over here, and this was 0, 6. And then let's go see what point is directly like on the grid, right? You don't want to choose one of these, right? Because that's like a fraction. You want to choose one that's right in between, that intersects the vertical and horizontal lines. And it's this one right here. And this is 5 and comma 9. 5, comma 9. Okay? We're going to use those 2 points to find the slope. So I have m is equal to, I'm going to choose this one as y2, 9 minus 6, and then over 5 minus 0, equaling, and that's 3, positive 3, and then 5 minus 0 is 5. And that is our slope, 3 over 5. Our whole equation is y is equal to, I got to really stop with this, really stop with this y business looking like x's, okay? Y is equal to 3/5 x plus 6. And let's look at our answer choices here. Function A, y equals negative 3/5 x plus 6. Well, it's not a negative slope, right? A negative slope will go the opposite way. It would fall down from left to right. This one climbs up left to right, okay? And just from looking at this too, just looking at this part of the graph, we know it's a positive slope. So we can get rid of A. Function B, y is equal to 3/5 x plus 6. Well, that matches exactly what we got. So I will choose B, then we move on. But again, for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and look at answer choice C. And for this, I would pick 2 points. So I see one over here at -10, and then -10, comma, -2. And then I have one over here. And this is -15, comma, -6. So let's just do that really quick. Okay, -2 minus -6, and then -10 minus negative, yeah, that's right, actually. I did this right. And then that equals, and then this is the changeover, and this equals, well, this is +6 now, and this is 4 over, and then 15, +15, minus 10 is 5. Well, our slope here on this graph is 4 over 5, which is not 3 over 5, almost, but enough to cross it out. And then function D, y is equal to 3/5 x minus 6. Well, no, just visualizing and looking at our graph here, our y-intercept is at 0, 6, not -6. So we can get rid of D, giving us, confirming B as the correct answer. Okay, question 13. So again, almost touched my face there. Almost touched my face. We're going on a no touching face streak. Okay, consider the table to answer the question below. And again, what do? We're going to, step 1, find the change of y over the change of x. Then step 2, we are going to find the y-intercept. Okay, so again, m equals, and we'll choose 89. Okay, we're choosing 89 minus 50 over 27 minus 14. And this equals 39. And then 27 minus 14 is 13. And 39 over 13 equals 3. So m is equal to 3. So let's go ahead and use this ordered pair and go 50 equals 3, that is our slope, multiply that by 14, and then plus b. And then 3 times 14 is 42, so 50 equals 42 plus b. Minus 42, minus 42, that gives us b is equal to 8. So our equation is y equals 3x plus 8. Okay, we got it. Now let's go ahead and check our answer choices. Excuse me. Let's check the easy ones before we tackle the graphs. Okay. Okay, A is a table, and then, or what I should have said was, let's go attack the graphs before we go to the tables, because the tables, we're going to spend more time with them. Okay, because we have to perform 2 equations again. With this one, we could just visualize. Okay, this is a negative slope, so we can get rid of b. And then function D has a y-intercept of 8, okay, plus 8, great, and increases by 1 for every 3 units, okay? And that gives us a slope of 1/3 x, making D incorrect. Now we have to work with the tables, okay? So let's do the change over y over the change over x with these 2 ordered pairs, and I get -16 minus 28, and then minus 6 minus -9. Okay, I just skipped writing the m, equals, and then what is 28 minus 16? That's going to give me 12, right? Yes, 12 over, and then this one is +9 minus 6, 3, giving me m equaling 4, which is incorrect, giving us C as the correct answer choice here. And why? Why, you say? Why? Why? Well, let's go ahead and figure it out. M is equal to 80 minus 41 over 24 minus 11 equaling, what is 30 minus 41? Well, lookity hookity, 39. 24 minus 11, 13. Just like the table here, equals 39 divided by 13, 3. We found the slope. The slopes match. Okay, further confirmation. 80 equals 324 plus b. Okay, 24 times 3. Okay, I can't do that like that. I have to do it over here. Okay, sometimes it just be like that. 80 equals 72 plus b. Doing mental math. 72 plus what equals 80? That equals 8. B equals 8, giving us full confirmation that C is the correct answer choice. And then we can move on. 214! The Red Bull is kicking in. All right, guys. Translate the statement below, then answer the question. The value of y, this is formatted, this is word formatted, and it is supposed to scare you. But don't fear. Do not be afraid, because you have studied with me, and now you are armed and ready for word formatted questions. Okay, the value of y, okay, so let's just write it out. The value of y is 5 less, okay, equals minus 5, right? Then 4 times the value of x. All this equals is positive 4x. And if we write it into y equals mx plus b terms, we just switch these around and we get y is equal to 4x minus 5. We have found our equation. Okay, for this one, let me just write this up here. Y is equal to 4x minus 5. All right. Now, what I am going to do is look at our answer choices, and we're looking for a positive slope. So B has a negative slope. Thank God it has a negative slope, because these are super duper whooper small. So let's go ahead and check these out. Well, this one right here, D has a y-intercept at negative 5. But the telltale sign that this is not the correct answer is this slope, right? This slope is a little bit too horizontal for me, okay? A tip here, a pro tip, is when you have something like this, a slope of 1/4, it's going to be more horizontal, okay? When you have a slope like this, a whole number, it's going to be more vertical, okay? But the trick is, guys, I gave you all those tips, but none of these are the correct answer, okay? To save you guys some time, none of these are the correct answer. And you're going to find that out by plugging in the numbers. So for D, I would already get rid of D, because I know for sure, just looking at this slope is too horizontal. It needs to be steep like this. So let's go ahead and just, my gosh, they are bouncing up and down up there. Okay, let's go choose 2 points. I'm going to choose this one right here. And this is, that is -3 over, or -3 comma -9. Okay. Then I'm going to choose this one right here. And this is -2 comma -3. Okay. So I'm going to do the change over y over the change of x, and that's going to give me -3 minus -9 over -2 minus -3, giving us 6. I'm going to just write it out because my gosh, it's the mental math is hurting my brain right now. -2 plus 3, which gives me 3 over 1 equaling 3. That's 3x, which is not our slope here. It's 4x. So yeah, A is wrong. And, you know, just because, for the sake of this video, let's just prove this one wrong. Because, again, this one's just this one is too horizontal for me. So I'm going to choose this point right here. It's -4, -4. Okay. This graph is super small. Okay. And then we could choose the y-intercept as 0, -5. Okay. This could be it. This could fool you, right? Because the y-intercept is at -5. So let's go ahead and do 4 minus -5, and then -4 minus 0, and that was a -4. And then we get 4 plus 5, and then this one is -4 equals 9 over, is that right? Did I do that right? I feel like I'm doing this wrong because I got a negative number and this is not a negative slope. I think I did this wrong. Oh, I know why I did this wrong. I switched the signs over here. Okay. Oopsie daisies. Sorry about that. This right here, this point right here is 4, -4. Okay, so then this changes to m equals -4 minus 5 right here over 4 minus 0, giving me -4 plus 5 over 4, giving us equals, and then -4 plus 5 is 1 over 4. And that confirms, again, that is a more of a horizontal slope because of the fraction here. And that is actually the opposite, right, of this. So D is incorrect. C is the correct answer. This would suck so bad. This would suck so bad if this was on the test, because you would test all the answer choices and then you would just, you wouldn't feel confident of your work. I hope this won't be on the test. But hey, I've heard some feedback. I've got some feedback that the test did get harder. But then I also got feedback that the test wasn't hard. So it's like 50-50. Okay? And guys, I am 100 plus confirmed people passing their tests using my material. Super happy about that. Okay. Question number 15. All right, when am I going to take a break? I don't know. We're just going to keep on going. M is equal to a -3k plus 8. Which statement is true for this formula? Okay, this is a if and then, if and then, if and then, if and then statement question. Okay, so if k increases, then m increases. So for this, step 1, choose easy numbers, because you're going to be plugging in numbers into this equation. Okay, choose easy numbers every time. Okay, repeat after me.
I will choose easy numbers.
So I'm going to choose 1. And then I'm also going to choose 2, because we need to see what happens to m as we increase k. So m equals -3, 1 plus 8 equals -3 plus 8 equals 5, right? Now let's go use 2. M equals -3, 2 plus 8 equals negative 6 plus 8 equals positive 2. What happened here? As we increased k, right, the m decreased from 5 to 2. So if k increases, which we showed here, then m increases? No, it went from 5 to 2. Let's look at b. If k increases, okay, 1 to 2, then m decreases. That is in fact correct. B is the correct answer. But let's go check C and D. If k increases, okay, k increases, m stays constant. No, m changed. It decreased. Okay, C is wrong. If m increases, okay, m increases, and we have it here. So from 2 to 5, then k stays constant. No, actually, if m increases, k decreases, as shown here. So we can get rid of D. Okay, B is the correct answer. Let's move on to question 16. Given the equation y equaling negative 2x plus 7, which statement is true for this formula? If x increases, okay, if x, okay, then y. If x, then y. If y, then x. Ooh, a little change of words here, but that's okay. I'll show you what to do. If x increases from 1 to 4, okay, so we know to plug in 1 and 4 into the equation. Let's go test A. Let's test the statement A. Okay, y is equal, and let me just do this so we have more room. Y, okay, I gotta do my y's like that from now on, but I always will not. Okay, I always will change it up. Y is equal to negative 2, and then we're going to choose a 1 plus 7, okay? Equals negative 2 plus 7 equals positive 5. Now, let's go plug in the 4. Y is equal to negative 2, 4 plus 7, okay? Y is equal to negative 8 plus 7. Y is equal to, and I'll just put y here. Y is equal to, and then negative 8 combined with 7, that gives us negative 1. Okay, if x increases from 1 to 4, okay, 1 to 4, then y increases. No, y decreased from 5 to negative 1. Wrong. If x decreases, okay, let's just do the opposite. If x decreases from 4 to 1, okay, then y decreases. Well, it actually increased. The opposite happened. So B is incorrect. Okay, if y increases from negative 1 to 5, then x increases. Now I have to plug in negative 1 and 5 to y, okay? Or replace negative 1 and 5 for y, right? Yes. Okay. So I am going to plug in negative 1 into y. So negative 1 is equal to, and then negative 2x plus 7. Okay, minus 7. Minus 7, I get negative 8 equals negative 2x. Divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2, I get x is equaling to 4. Okay? And then now, and I'm just going to bracket this, or actually I will bracket that a different color, just so we could keep an eye on what we're looking at. Okay? Ooh, don't touch your face. I think I already touched my face, but I'm not going to touch it again. Okay, 5 is equal to negative 2x plus 7. Minus 7, I get negative 2 equals negative 2x. Divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2, I get x equaling 1. And I am going to bracket this and then bracket this. Okay. From negative 1 to 5, okay, increase from negative 1 to 5, then x increases. Well, what happened to x? x actually decreased from 4 to 1. So C is wrong. If y increases from -1, -1 to 5, then x decreases 4 to 1. And that is true, making D, confirming D as the correct answer. Okay, all I did was plug in the numbers and then observe what happened to the other variable. All right, that's all this is testing. This takes a little bit of time, but the more reps you do, the faster you will get at it, and you will be able to answer this question with haste. Okay? Perfect. You are tracking. Question 17. Okay, this one's a little scary. All right, this one's a little scary. Okay, because we're gonna do we're going to find something called the cutoff. Okay, where we have to make x equaling 0. All right, so let me explain. Consider the following formula. X is equal to 4y minus 6 minus 3. The first thing I would do, okay, is I would simplify this, okay, because this coefficient could be multiplied in this parentheses, and after that, these two terms can be combined, and then that will give us a cleaner formula, okay? So x is equal to 4y minus 24 minus 3. That's going to give us x is equal to 4y minus 27. This is our formula now, okay? Remember that. I'm going to write that here at the top here for us. X is equal to 4y minus 27, okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to find the cutoff. And to find the cutoff, we must set x to 0, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to go 0 is equal to 4y minus 27 plus 27 plus 27. That's going to give us 27 is equal to 4y divide by 4, divide by 4. And then how many times can 4 go into 27? The answer is 6. And what we're left with is 3 over 4 equaling 6.75. Remember, this fraction right here, that's an easy fraction you should know. So the cutoff is 6.75, or y is equal to 6.75. That's when a change happens to the line, okay? Let's see what happens when we choose a number above the cutoff, okay? This is where we choose easy numbers. So let's go ahead and make the cutoff, for example, 7, or not the cutoff, but let's choose a number above the cutoff, which is y equaling to 7. So this is greater than 6.75, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make x equal 4, and I'm going to make this 7 minus 27. X is equal to 24 not 24. 28 minus 27. And then x is equal to 1. So what happened here? What happened here was when we choose a value greater than 6.75, which is the cutoff, okay, and this is very close to the cutoff. We chose a number that was very close to the cutoff, which is 7. We get a positive value. And how we would write that is x, I'll write it here, but I'm going to make some room somewhere else. X is to this. X greater than 0 means positive values, okay? X greater than 0, okay? Now, we have that, okay? What I'm doing here is I am establishing rules, okay? So I chose a y value, right? I chose a y value and then greater than the cutoff, which is 6.75, and that yielded a positive x value, okay? Now, what will happen if I choose a y value less than 6.75? And folks, you should know your inequality signs. I have the inequality signs written on a Pokemon card, all right, on an energy card, because even I, to this day, will forget and get confused with these inequality signs, okay? Make sure you memorize these inequality signs for the test, okay? So y less than 6.75, which is our cutoff, and let's go ahead and choose 6, okay? So we're going to use the equation again. X is equal to 4, and then I'm going to plug in 6 because that is below our cutoff, and then minus 3, or minus 27. Minus 27. Then we have x is equal to 24 minus 27, and then x is equal to negative 3. And that is a negative number, and how we would write that is x values less than 0 equaling negative values. Okay? So we have our rules established. Okay? We have our rules established. Now, let's go ahead and look at our answer choices. When the value of y is greater than x, okay? Greater than x, or greater than x, greater than 6. When the value of y is greater than 6, okay? X is positive. Well, below 6.75 is 6, right? Well, 6 gave us a negative number. And we proved that before I erased everything, that gave us a negative number. I believe it was negative 3. So A is incorrect because we yielded a negative number and not a positive one. Okay? When the value of y is less than 7, x is positive. Okay, value of y is less than 7. Now, this is where it might get tricky, okay? Because above 6.75 yields positive values, okay? But then once we cross it and get below 6.75, then they become negative. So this is partially true because 6.75 to 7 or 7 to 6.75 yields positive values. However, anything below that gives us negative values, okay? So therefore, B is incorrect, okay? Visually looking at it, let's go make a graph here, okay? And then I will make this 6, and I'll make this one 7, right? And then 6.75 is like right over here, and I'm going to make a line right like this, okay? Well, we said when the value of y is less than 7, x is positive. Well, these values right here are positive, and then anything below become negative, okay? And all of this is below 7 all the way to infinity. 6.999 all the way to infinity will be part or included, right? And then that small portion right here is positive. That's why I say that this is partially true. Okay? Now you have a visual. When the value of y is greater than 7, x is positive. Okay? Well, values greater than y, or when the value of y is greater than 7. Oh, yes. Okay, so any value greater than 7, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way to infinity, will always be positive. Because at the cutoff at 6.75, if we choose numbers higher than 6.75, we will always get positive values. So this is always correct. C is the right answer. But let's disprove D. When the value of y is less than 6, x is positive. When the value of y is less than 6. Well, we said here in our rules, or not we said anything. These are our rules. y is less than 6.75. Any values less than 6.75 will give us negative values. Okay? And well, 6.75 is this orange line, right? And anything below it is negative. And what's part of it? 6. So 6 is wrong because 6 will always, and below, will always give us negative values, right? All this is, everything below this orange line will give us negative values. So D is incorrect. I do have many videos going over this. Okay, many videos. I know this is one of the hardest, these right here, the if-then statements and the cutoff problems, these are the hardest topics on the test, as well as parabolas. But just because I think those are new topics on the test. I don't think parabolas were ever on the test until now. But then again, I have mixed reviews on it. I have some people telling me, yes, I saw parabolas, and other people telling me the test was super easy. No parabolas. Okay. Question number 18. Okay. Consider the following formula. R is equal to 18 minus 4t. Which of the following statements is true for this formula? Okay, this is another if and then statement question. If then, and then if then. Okay, let's just choose easy numbers. Okay, if t increases, then r increases. Well, let's make t equal to 1 and 2. Okay, so r is equal to 18 minus 4, 1, right? And then let's simplify. 18 minus 4, r is equal to 14. Excuse me. Okay, now let's plug in 2. R is equal to 18 minus 4, and this is 2. And then r is equal to 18 minus 8. R is equal to 10. Okay, what happened here? Okay, let's go use orange. And then we had the 1 here, right? The 1 here, the 2 here. These are t. And then r are these values right here. Well, when t increased from 1 to 2, r decreased from 14 to 10. So A is incorrect because r did not increase, it decreased. If t increases, okay, 1 to 2, then r decreases. And that is in fact true. We decrease from 14 to 10, giving us B the correct answer. But let's disprove C and D. If r increases, okay, r increased here from 10 to 14. We're just going the opposite way. Then t increases. That is wrong. T actually decreases from 2 to 1, right? We're going backwards this time, okay? If t increases 1 to 2, r stays the same. No, r decreased, right? Is 14 equal to 10? No, it did not stay the same. So D is incorrect. Okay, that one was easy compared to this one right here. This one was a monster. All right, let's go ahead and go on to question 19. Consider the following formula. P is equal to 16 minus 2q. Which of the following statements is true for this formula? If P is less than 0, then Q is greater than 8. Okay, let's just write this out really quick. P less than 0, okay? So we can maybe make P equaling -1 because that is less than 0. And then it says here, Q is greater than 8. So we're trying to prove that Q will be greater than 8. So let's plug -1 into this formula over here, okay? So let's go -1 equals 16 minus 2q, okay? And then we go minus 16, we get minus 17 equals -2q. And then we're going to divide by -2, and we're going to get a positive number. And I believe, okay, it's going to be 8 1/2 or 8.5 equaling Q. And then it says Q greater than 8. And we, in fact, have found the correct answer. Okay, maybe I should not make A the right answer because I will test all the answer choices below it.
For the sake of the video.
Okay, so what we had here was P less than 0, which we chose -1, and in fact, we did yield a number greater than 8. Q was greater than 8, which was 8.5. All right, let's just test the other answer choices though. If P is greater than 0, okay, P greater than 0, P greater than 0, let's use P, let's use 2, okay? Let's just plug it in. 2 is equal to 16 minus 2Q, and then minus 16 minus 16, that's going to give us -14 equals -2Q, divide by -2, divide by -2, that's going to give us a +7. And is that greater than 8? No, that is not greater than 8. Okay, is 7 greater than 8? No. All right, if Q is less than 8, okay, Q less than 8, and I have it right here, okay, Q less than 8, then P is negative. No, in fact, P is positive, okay? We're just doing the reverse now. If Q is greater than 8, Q greater than 8, we have it right here, then P is positive. No, we needed to choose a negative value in order for Q to be greater than 8. Therefore, D is incorrect. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to question 20. I have been filming for 1 hour and 30 minutes. It is 6:12 p.m. However, I'm going to keep going. I was going to take a break, but I'm feeling okay, guys. I am feeling okay to keep on going. So, expand the expression. All right, this one's easy. All we have to do is FOIL and then multiply this coefficient. You can FOIL first and then put the coefficient in the expression, or you can get the coefficient and multiply it by the first binomial and then use FOIL. However way you want to do it. Okay? And when you FOIL, you're going to have 4 different parts here. Okay? So I'm going to FOIL. I'm going to multiply this with this. 3x times 2x equaling 6x squared. Okay? 3x multiplied by 7. Okay? 3x times 7 equals 21x. And then -5, times 2x. -5 times 2x, that's going to give me -10x. And then -5 times 7, that's going to give me -35. Okay, combine everything together. I get 6x squared. I'm going to combine these, okay? Combining that will give me plus 11x and then minus 35, okay? And remember this coefficient here, so minus 3 as a coefficient, and I'm going to multiply this -3 inside every term here. That's going to give me -18x squared minus 33x, and this will give me 105, and that's a positive 105. Okay, this is our simplified or our expanded expression. Okay, and what is our answer choice? What are our answer choices here? So -18x squared minus 33x plus 105. A is our correct answer. Okay, that's it. All you have to do is FOIL and multiply the coefficient, or you could multiply the coefficient first and then FOIL. Okay, question 20 complete. A is the correct answer. 21, factor the expression. Now this one, You don't have to use the quadratic formula. I made this one super easy. So what two numbers multiplied together equal 12, and then when those numbers are combined equal 7x? What are they? They are 4 and 3. And all you have to do to write it out is x plus 4 and x plus 3. And that gives us answer choice C. Super easy, right? Because 4 times 3 equals 12. And then 4 plus 3 combined together equals 7, giving us this right here. That's all you have to do when you factor an expression like this. Okay? Or you could use the quadratic formula. And just for poops and giggles, I want to try that out. I want to see if it does equal x plus 3 and x plus 4. And then when you use the quadratic formula, you have to do this because you're probably going to be solving, all right? Solve for x. Because you know what, guys? 21 was too short. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay. -7 plus minus 7 squared. Okay. 7 squared minus 4ac over 2 and then 1. And then -7 plus minus 49 minus, okay, 4, 1, what is 12 times 4? I should know that, guys. 48. It's 48. It's 48. Okay, it's 48. Minus 48 over 2, minus 7 plus minus, and then square root of 1, because this is going to be a 1, is just 1 over 2. And then we're going to do -7 plus 1 over 2 equals, and -7 plus 1, that equals -6 divided by 2, equaling -3, okay? Equaling -3, x equal, yep, that's right, x equaling -3. And then we do -7 minus 1 over 2 equals -8 over 2, giving me x equaling -4. And those are the correct answers. And the reason why they're negative is because we set this to 0, okay? If we did have equals 0 here, these would in fact be x equals -3 and x equals -4. Okay, that's why we had the negatives here. All right, so I proved you could use the quadratic formula for this and you didn't have to. Okay, question 22. Factor the expression. So the way to do this, I'm not going to do it the proper way that I teach it, okay? The way to do this on the test is just to FOIL. Is to FOIL each answer choice. That's how to do this, okay? So 6x times x equals 6x squared. Great, okay? 6x times 3. 6x times 3 equals 18x. And then 1 times x, 1 times x equals x. And then 1 times 3 equals 3. This is all going to give me 6x squared plus 19x and then plus 3. And that does not equal our expression here. So A is incorrect. Let's go ahead and go on to B. Okay. B is 3x times 2x equals 6x squared again. And then, I'm touching my face. I touched my face. Oops. 3x times 1 equals 3x. And then 3 times 2x equals 6x. Well, these combine equals 9x. Does not equal 11x. So I actually will stop doing that. B is incorrect. Okay. So Again, let's go ahead and do it. 6x times x equals 6x squared. And then 6x times -3 equals -18x. And then -1 times x equals -x. This together gives me -19x, which does not equal this. So I would stop and continue on to the last answer choice. And just to check it, we're going to do, let's just go ahead and do 3x times 3 equals 9x. And then 1 times 2x equals 2x. This together does equal 11x. And we're good to go. And just let's do our last term here. 1 times 3 equals 3. And then 3x times 2x equals 6x squared. Okay, that's how you do it. You need to FOIL each answer choice, and you will pray that it's A. All right, guys. Oops, I don't need to erase anything. Let's go ahead and go on to 23. All right, A is equal to -7/9 CT, and then C equals 3S minus 6 over 2. If A equals -56 and S equaling 8, what is the value of T? Well, let's go ahead and see what is the value of T. So what I'm going to do is plug in this S into this C, okay? So C is equal to 3 and then 8 minus 6 over 2. C is equal to 24 minus 6 over 2. C is equal to 18 over 2. C is equal to 9. That's 18, right? 24 minus 6 is 18? Yes. So C is equal to 9. And now we could plug in the values to our first equation that they gave us. Okay, they gave you two equations here, or I gave you two equations here to trip you out. But this is a test, a very similar question that you will see on the test. Okay, so A is -56 equals -7/9, and then C is 9, okay? And then we have T, okay? So the first thing I would do is multiply this 9 by -7, right? So I want to cancel this fraction. And this actually, you don't even need to do that. You could do this, okay? Shortcut. This 9 and this 9 here cancel each other out. You're left with -56 equals -7 and then T. And divide by -7, divide by -7, you get 8, positive 8 equaling T. And I like to always write it like this. It doesn't matter. I use this interchangeably. So B is the correct answer. Okay. Easy. All right, here we go. We got a increased difficulty one now. So R is equal to all this and all this. We're just gonna plug in our numbers here and solve for K. Okay, we need to isolate for K. What is the value of K? Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and let's just plug in the numbers. So 12 equals -3/5, okay? 2K minus 4 plus 1/2. A is -6. And then minus what's M? And M is -3. Okay, nasty. Okay, I'm going to work on this part right here first. Okay, I'm going to work on this part before I touch that part. So, -6 divided by -6 times 1 is -6. Divided by 2 is -3, okay? And then minus -3 is +3, and this will just cancel each other out, and this whole part can just be canceled out. So what we're left with is 12 equals -3/5, right? 2K minus 4, okay? So what I would do here is multiply this side, right? I'm going to take this all out now, not to confuse us, okay? Not to confuse us. I'm going to multiply this by -5/3, okay? This is going to cancel out this right here. Boom. And then we're going to multiply the same side or the opposite side by -5/3. Okay. And then this is just going to give us, actually, I'm going to do it one by one just for you guys to see it, because that might be too hard for you guys. So what am I going to do first? I'm going to multiply by 5, multiply by 5, and this will cancel out this, okay? And 12 times 5 is 60, okay? And this equals -3, and then 2k minus 4, okay? And then what I'm going to do is divide by -3, divide by -3, and this will give me negative 20 equals 2k minus 4, okay? Then we are going to erase. We're going to erase everything and move everything up so you can see it. So -20 equals 2k minus 4. So now what I'm going to do is plus 4 plus 4. That's going to give me -16 equals 2k. Then we're going to divide by 2, and we're going to get k is equal to -8. All right. And that is answer choice B. There you have it, folks. This was a lot of algebra to take in, but because you are studying with me, you know what to do. All right. Okay. Question 25, except I am going to teach you how to square a binomial. And to square a binomial, the formula is a plus b, okay, squared, which we have, right, equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, okay? That's all that's happening. Or you could FOIL, okay? And I did show you how to do that. Okay, so a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Well, x is our a, so we go x squared, okay, plus 2, and then x again, x, and then b is -2, so -2, right? And then plus, and then b is -2, and it's squared. And then we get x squared minus 4x plus 4, okay? Because a negative squared equals a positive number, okay? That's what happened, all right? So let's go ahead and apply this to x plus 4. So let's go ahead and do x squared, right? 1, and then plus 2, and then we have x again, and then this is a 4, a positive 4, plus, and then 4 squared, and then we get x squared plus, what is 2 times 4? That's 8, and then x plus 16. So these are our binomials squared, expanded, right? And all we have to do now with these right here is multiply the coefficients and combine like terms. So let's go ahead and do that, okay? If you forget a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, you could always just FOIL. Just FOIL this, okay? And foiling it looks like this, x plus 4, and then x plus 4, and then just go ahead and start foiling, okay? That's if you forget a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, okay? So I have, and I'm going to write this in orange, or actually no, I'm going to write the whole equation right here. So 3, and this is x squared minus 4x plus 4, and then minus 2, and then we have x squared plus 8x plus 16, okay? So I have here 3x squared, okay, because all I'm doing is multiplying this coefficient to every term, okay? And then I'm going to do it on the other side, or with the other equation, or other part of the expression. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. You know why I can't speak? Because I'm touching my face again. That's why I can't speak. Okay, so again, all I'm doing is multiplying this coefficient inside the parentheses. 3, and then now it's times minus 4x, and that is negative 12x, and then 3 times 4 is 12. And then now I have to multiply this negative 2 to each term inside here. So negative 2x squared minus, what is that, 16x, and then minus 32. Now, all I'm doing now is combining like terms. So I'm just going to write these down. So 3x squared minus 2x squared, what does that equal? That equals x squared. I'm going to cross these out. Minus 12x, minus 12x, and then I have a minus 16x. Those combined equals negative 28x. I'm going to cross those out. And then plus 12, and then minus 32 gives me negative 20. And our equation is x squared minus 28x, not our equation, our expression. X squared minus 28x minus 20. So let's just write that out. Okay. And what is that? That is answer choice A. Okay. Perfect. 25. Complete. Let's move on to 26. Evaluate the formula. Q equals 5 over R, and then we have R equals 2n minus n over 10 pi. Okay? So all we're going to do here is panic because this looks crazy. Just kidding. We're not going to panic. First, what we're going to do is I'm going to simplify this. Okay? I could see that I need to simplify this. So R equals 2n minus n over 10 pi. And then 2n minus n just equals n over 10 pi. Okay? So R equals R. So R equals n 10 pi. Now I am going to, I formatted this incorrectly. You know what I should have said? Evaluate the formula for Q. Okay, let me just type that in. Evaluate the formula for Q. Okay, now that's correct. So now that makes sense. And then what I'm going to do is plug in this R inside Q, or for the R over here. So it's going to be Q equals 5, and then we have n over 10 pi. Now that looks crazy, right? But just because we know what to do, because we watched, or you watched the 20 tips, the 20 skills you should know before the test, you know that this also equals 5 divided by n and then 10 pi. And then we're going to keep, change, and then flip, right? So I'm going to write this at the top here, 5, and then we're going to change this to multiplication, then flip this, right? And then over n. And then we go 5 times 10 is 50, and then pi, because that could be multiplied by nothing, and divide by n, equaling Q. And that leaves us with answer choice C. And that's how you do this. All this is rearranging an equation or rearranging a formula. That's all it is. Okay? And then also just, attention to detail and knowing that you need to simplify. Always simplify and then rearrange everything. Okay? And then remember, keep, change, flip, because this looks scary. Okay? This looks scary. But then if you write it like this, it doesn't look so scary. Okay? 27. Isolate the variable from the formula. Okay? I've been recording for so long now that my words aren't wording. Okay. I said I was going to take a break, but I don't want to take a break. I want to do this in one shot. J1 equals C1 J2 plus C2 minus C1 J2 over C2 minus 3. C1, and these are subscripts, okay? So the first thing that I am going to do, I'm going to just start it from here, okay? What we're doing is isolating for C1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the C1 or distribute the C1, okay? Giving me C1. Wait a minute. C1. Oh yeah, that's correct. However, I think I formatted this wrong too as well. But let's go ahead and just go with the motions. C1, and then you have J2, because C1, J2, and then plus C1, C2, and then minus C1, J2. Oh no, I did not format it wrong. I did it right. And then over C2 minus 3. Well, in the numerator, right, we could cancel out this positive C1, J2 with this negative C1, J2. Get rid of that. What we're left with now is C1, C2 over C2 minus 3. And this is J1. Okay, now we need to isolate this C1. The first thing that I want to do is I'm going to multiply C2 minus 3 to both sides. So C2 minus 3, and then C2 minus 3, and this will cancel these two out right here. And what we're left with is J1, and then C2 minus 3 equals C1, C2. And then I'm going to divide by C2, divide by C2, and that is our answer right here. And I'm just going to cancel that out. And then C1 is equal to J1, C2 minus 3 over C2. And that's this answer choice here, B. And that is correct. Okay. Don't touch your face. I touched my nose. Okay. 28. Which equation matches the graph shown? Okay. This is a parabola question. Okay. I put this here just so you could identify key parts of a parabola, okay? So this is how you write. So these answer choices are in vertex form. And vertex form is y is equal to a x minus h squared plus k, okay? And then this right here, 1, 4 is h comma k, okay? So the only thing I want you to really know from this, right, is this is a negative parabola, okay? And all answer choices are negative, so we're kind of screwed here. Now we need to go on further. So this right here, k, this right here, k is equal to 4, positive 4. So from our answer choices here, we can get rid of B and C because these are negative, right? These are negative. Now we need to figure out H, and H is equal to 1, right? However, guys, don't get tripped up, okay? It is 1, right? It is 1, but one may think it's a positive 1. But think the opposite when working these out. I don't want to explain why, but think the opposite, okay? What is the opposite of 1? That is negative 1. Therefore, D is correct. We have a negative right here, okay? If it was plus 1, we would have negative 1 comma 4. But since we have a negative number, it's plus 1 or positive 1 plus 4. You don't do anything on the outside, but you make a switch on the inside. Okay, I will go over parabolas in depth one day. I will make a whole presentation on it. But right now, a lot of people, many people Okay, over 75% have passed my test without parabolas. Okay, so that's why it's not really a priority for me. So there you go. There you have it. 29. All right, we're back to the if and then statements, and this one is disgusting. Consider the following formula. Why is this disgusting? Because we have not true. So we have to test all the statements here for not true. So we're looking for something that's not true. We're going to find 3 statements that are true. So the first thing that I would do is simplify, just like the other one, the other question, the other formula that we did. So S is equal to -2, and then we're going to distribute. Holy crap, let's distribute. So -2 times 3t is -6t. And -2 times -4 equals +8. And then +16. And then S is equal to -6t, and this is +24. Okay? So again, we're going to find the cutoff. And in this case, S is equal to 0. So we're going to set S to 0. 0 equals -6t plus 24 minus 24 minus 24. And then we have -24 equals -6t. Divide by -6, divide by -6. And then we get 4 equaling t. And then I'm going to put that here, t equaling 4. Okay, so let's go find out what happens above and below the cutoff, just like our last question. Okay, this one most likely will be on the test, so don't be afraid of it. Be prepared for it. Okay, let's see what happens when we have t greater than 4. Okay, above our cutoff. Okay, let's see what happens. So I am going to choose 5. Okay, so S equals -2, and then 3, and then 5. Oops, I did not keep the simplified form. So I'm just going to do that all over again. So S equals -6t, and then +8 plus 16. S is equal to -6t plus 24. Okay, this one right here. So I am going to choose 5 as t and see what happens to S. So S is equal to -6 and then 5 plus 24. S is equal to -30 plus 24. S is equal to -6. So S is in fact negative. Okay, when we choose values above our cutoff, which is 4, we get -S values. So what happens below the cutoff? Okay, let's go test that out. And I will choose 3. So S equals -6, 3 plus 24. S equals -18 plus 24. And I get S equals +6. So t values less than 4 below our cutoff, we get S greater than 0 or positive values. Those are our rules. Okay, so now let's go ahead and test our rules against the answer choices here. So if t is greater than 4, then S is negative. In fact, we got positive when t was wait. If t is greater than 4, we chose 5, then S is negative. Did we get negative numbers? We did. Oh, crap. Brain fart, guys. Remember, we're looking for what is wrong. And this is actually correct. So A is wrong because it is correct. So if t is less than 4, then S is positive. And that also is correct. So if S is equal to 0, then T is equal to 4. And we did that to find the cutoff. This is correct, which is wrong. And if S is negative, S being negative, okay, negative values, that's right here, then T is less than 4. And that, folks, is not true. D is the correct answer. So be careful when reading this problem, when analyzing this problem. Okay, even I get tripped up. Okay, and this is near the end of the test, and they'll probably do that while you're fatigued and everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to question 30. Which of the following statements are true? If R increases by 2, then N decreases by 10. So let's just not take in account right here. This is a constant, okay? This is what we call constant. Let's not take that into account when figuring this statement out, okay? If R increases by 2, so let's say -5 and then R increases by 2, then N decreases by 10, right? N does, in fact, decrease by 10 because -5 times 2 equals -10. So this is true. Okay? If N is less than 0, N less than 0, so let's go -1, and then R is greater than 6. Well, let's go see if that's true. Equals 30 minus 5, and then R minus 30, and I'm going to get -31. Okay, what I did was I did -30, and I thought this was a +1, and I got -29 or something. Now, it still would have made sense, actually. Anyway, no, actually, yeah, it would have. Anyway, let's just go ahead and do this. -31 equals -5R. Okay, divide by -5, divide by -5. Okay, a negative divided by a negative is going to give us a positive value. And well, -31 divided by -5 will actually give us 6.2 equaling R. Okay, I know that only because I did look at the answer choices. So this is proven correct. Okay, last one. If R is equal to 5, then N equals 0. So let's go set N or R equaling to 5. So N equals 30 minus 5, and then we said it was 5. And then N is equal to 30 minus 25. N is equal to 5. And folks, that does not equal 0. X is incorrect. And 1 and 2, statements 1 and 2 are correct. And that gives us answer choice C, 1 and 2 only, right? Which of the following statements are true? This is a hard one. Okay, moving on. Question 31. Consider the following formula. P equals 3Q plus 6. Which of the following statements is true for this formula? Okay, the difference between the values of P and Q changes. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're trying to find this right here. So this is what we would use, P minus Q. And all we're going to do is substitute this P for 3Q plus 6. So 3Q plus 6, okay, minus Q. And then we're going to get 3Q, or I'm sorry, we're not going to get 3Q. We're going to get 2Q because 3Q combined with minus Q is 2Q plus 6. And since we have a Q here, okay, since we still have this Q here in the answer, the difference depends on the Q. That means if Q changes, then P minus Q changes. All right, so that proves A is correct, okay? If we look at the next answer choice here, so A is actually the right answer. If we look at the next answer choice here, the difference between the values of P and Q is constant. Well, if we did P minus Q and just let's say we got P minus Q and then just got a number, then yes, that would be constant. So B is wrong. For positive p-values, okay, positive p-values, then Q is greater than 0. So let's go ahead and add a positive p-value. So 1, let's just choose 1, equals 3Q plus 6, right? And then we're going to minus 6, giving us negative 5 equals 3Q. And divide by 3. And is Q greater than 0 or positive? No, it isn't. So C is incorrect. For negative Q values, P is less than 0. This is just the opposite. For negative Q values, we have this as Q, and let me just write it, Q equaling negative 5 over 3. Negative Q values, right? Well, do we have a P value less than 0? No, we don't. So this was just the opposite. D is incorrect. So that makes A the right answer choice. This one, guys, this one's a hard one. This one messes with my brain because sometimes I don't understand this 2Q plus 6 part. But just know, if you get something like this, when you get the difference, there is a change, okay? There is a change. When you get something like this, there is a change. It is not constant. A number by itself would make this a constant, okay? Would make the difference between P and Q a constant. Okay, question 32. This one should be easy. Solve for X. All we're going to do is cross multiply. So I'm going to do this, and it's 8, and then X minus 3 equals 5 times 6. That's all that's happening, okay? We're just doing something called cross multiply. And then we get 8x minus 24 equaling 30. And then we just combine like terms, and I'm going to go plus 24, and then 8x equals 54, and divide by 8, and that's going to give me how many times? That's actually 6, so 6, and then what we're left with is it's 48, right? Yeah, 48 and then 6 over 8, which equals 3 over 4, which equals 6.75. And folks, that is answer choice A. There's an easier way to get this. I did it an easier way in the answer choices, but just working out the math, it equals A. Okay. Solve the systems of equations. All right. The first thing that we're going to have to do, is we're going to have to get rid of a variable. We have to cancel a variable out. And the variable I'm going to get rid of is x. So in order to get rid of x, I have to multiply all this by negative 3. Why? Because negative 3 times 2x is going to give me negative 6x, which will cancel out this x. So let's go ahead and multiply first. So negative 6x, and this is minus 9y equaling, minus 9y equaling, what is 17 times 3? That is 51. And that's negative 51. And then we have 6x minus 5y equaling negative 5. Okay, all I did was rewrite this formula over here, this equation over here. Then we're going to cancel that out. And this is going to give us negative 14y equals negative 56. Then we're going to divide by negative 14. Divide by negative 14, and this is going to give us what is I think it's 14 times 4, and that's going to give us 6,156. Yes, so y is equal to 4. Okay, now we're going to plug this 4 into any one of these equations. So let's just choose the bottom one. 6x minus 5, 4 equals negative 5. And then 6x minus 20 equals negative 5. And then I'm going to plus 20, and I'm going to get 6x equals 15, positive 15, divide by 6, divide by 6. This equals simplified. We can divide the bottom and the top, or the top and the bottom, by 3, giving us 5 over 2. And that equals x. So our ordered pair is 5 halves, 4. And that is answer choice B. All right. There you have it. This one is a hard one, but it's easy once you know what you're doing. All you have to do is cancel out a variable. All right? Super easy. Question 34, the last question. Which graph represents the following equations? All right, the last graphing question. Y is equal to negative 3/4 x plus 5. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is y equals negative 9, and that is a horizontal line. So these all have horizontal lines, B, C, and D. I'm going to get rid of A because we have a vertical line at negative 9. That is x equals negative 9. That is incorrect. Okay? So now that we have that, now I'm going to look at our slopes here. We have negative 3/4 and a positive 5/3. And this one has 2 negative slopes. We can get rid of this. Now we're left with this and this. This is y equals negative 9. Well, we see here negative 9, right? And this is a positive 9. So we're going to get rid of this, leaving us with C as the correct answer. And then we could look at the y-intercepts. We have one at 5, right? And we have one at negative 4. Okay, we can figure out the slope for each, but there's no need to, because we use process of elimination to get rid of the other answer choices. C is the correct answer. Okay, and now here are the step-by-step instructions on how to answer each question. So I'm going to go over them, and I will see you in a little bit. Guys, thank you for watching. I will see you on the next video. Bye.